Narayana. Hari Om and good morning from Niagara Falls. Yesterday, I was at a wedding at a church, and there was a podium where the priest was speaking, where the husband and wife signed their marriage certificate. And on the podium, this is what was written: "This do in remembrance of me. This do in remembrance of me." What do you think the do here means? It means everything. This do means this eat, this drive, this sleep, this marriage, this funeral, this communion, this everything do in remembrance of me. And when there's remembrance, then naturally there will be contentment. Because that's the nature of the divine. That's the nature of Bhagavan. And we have been given a very strong picture of this through our Ramayana. That we have Ayodhya, a place that is unattackable. And in this unattackable place, Rama is born, joy. In other words, when one is externally strong, internally strong, then their joy is born. But you see what creeps in the form of mantara, which is greed, in the form of Keikei, which is anger, in the form of Dashrata, which is desire. When these vices creep in, and we think they're coming from the outside, but they're actually coming from the inside, then Rama gets exiled, no? Because of these three specifically. So joy leaves. When we forget Bhagavan, then Bhagavan doesn't exile himself or herself. We exile Bhagavan through our own thoughts and words and actions. In our Vichara Gurukula, presently we have 3 courses going on. Many of you are part of our Bhagavad Gita course. And the focus of the Bhagavad Gita course is jnana. So the primary focus is jnana, even the secondary focus is jnana too. Many of you are in our Moha Mudgara course, where the primary focus is jnana, the secondary focus is karma. How to bring this into our actions, this jnana. And our 3rd course is our Vedanta and Ramayana course, where the primary focus is jnana, the secondary focus is bhakti. It is about devotion, about love, which is why we use the word Bhagavan much more than Brahman, which we emphasize more in our Bhagavad Gita course. Swami Tejomayananda has shared the only, please carefully hear that I'm using the word only, eva, the only purpose. He also used the word, the only labha. What does labha mean? Benefit or gain or profit. So the only purpose, the only profit in life is to serve God. for us to follow that statement, this do in remembrance of me. Mother Sumitra tells Sri Lakshmana when he asks permission to go to the forest, she says, it is your bhagya that Bhagwan Rama is going to the forest, because who will be there to serve him other than you? In the kingdom, there's many people to serve Bhagwan Rama, but it is your bhagya, your fortune, that he's going to the forest, where you will be able to follow this do in remembrance of me. There are many, many, many organizations in Sanatana Dharma who are branded as Hindu organizations. And many of these organizations have a different focus. I want to be transparent about what Chinmay Mission's focus is. Chinmay Mission's focus is Bhagwan. All that we study is Bhagwan's words. Our destination is Bhagwan. We do not focus on therapeutic benefits of breathing better, lowering our heart rate. We do not focus on secular benefits about being a better leader and having better relationships. Those are all secondary. Those are auxiliary labha. But our labha in this organization, in this lineage, is Bhagwan. Bhagwan is the means, Bhagwan is the ends. All else is like the sun's rays. But our sun is Bhagwan Rama in this context. Be clear about that. And if you're clear about that, you will invoke this with more conviction, more confidence. Coming back to our study from last week, the citizens woke up. And when they woke up, they were looking around. And they couldn't find Bhagwan Rama. They couldn't find Mother Sita, Sri Lakshmana. They started cursing themselves that we're alive, but we're not living without Bhagwan Rama. They started cursing sleep. It is in their sleep that Bhagwan Rama left them. And if they hadn't slept, then Bhagwan Rama, they would have seen him. They could have continued to follow him. So they cursed sleep, and when they settled down somewhat, they all shared with each other that they realized Bhagwan Rama left out of love for them, that they couldn't live in the forest, that they would slow down Bhagwan Rama. So he didn't leave out of frustration. He didn't leave out of selfishness. Conversely, he left because he loved them. For all of the people who have watched the movie The Jungle Book, you remember when Baloo tells Mowgli that you're not my friend. And why does he say that? He says that to protect Mowgli, not to hurt Mowgli. And when those citizens returned to Ayodhya, what did they start to do? They started to engage in sadhana. They took up vratas like sleeping on the floor, like eating simpler food, like practicing more japa. And that's so unique because whenever you and I are distressed, what do? We become more indulgent, isn't it? Let's watch more TV, sleep more, eat more. They did the opposite because they realized that their punya had been exhausted, which is why Bhagwan Rama left. They need to accumulate more punya to bring him back. They didn't blame fate or Mother Kaikei. They felt like they exiled Bhagwan Rama. So they engaged in sadhana and they only survived to await Bhagwan Rama's return, which is so deep that the only reason to breathe is to bring joy into our lives, independent joy. Which leads us to our last class for our spiritual year, where there's a lot of sadness, but I have to leave you on a happy note, correct? So I was planning to leave you on a sad note, but then I thought there's no way Bhagwan Rama would have allowed this to happen. So we have to pause on a good scene. And then when we press resume, then the sad scenes will come again. But we'll press pause on a good scene. I'm on the 92nd section of Chaupais. I'm reading the second verse, the second line on page 307. This is a famous line on responsibility. This is where Lakshmana Gita begins. Okay? What does Shri Lakshmana say? And I'll tell you more about this. Kahu na kohu sukha dukha kara data. Nija krita karama bhoga sabu bhrata. Shri Lakshmana says here that no one is responsible for our sukha or our dukkha other than ourselves. And here he says ourselves as karma. What we do, that's a cause, there's an effect that comes with it. And he uses the word bhrata. Who is Shri Lakshmana speaking to? He's speaking in this case to Nishada Raja. Okay? He's speaking to Nishada Raja. So, let's rewind some here. They arrived at the Ganga. I told you their first stop was the Tamasa River, and then they arrived at the Ganga. And there Mother Sita begins worshipping Mother Ganga. Isn't that beautiful? That Mother Sita, the one who created Mother Ganga, is worshipping Mother Ganga. And she says to Mother Ganga that when I come back to Ayodhya, I will worship you again. See, she knows this is all a leela. She's saying, I'm coming back. I will worship you again. You know, we see that in Indian movies. I'll see you later, you know. So in the same way, but she says it in a sattvic way. I will see you again and I'll worship you. Bhagwan Rama, he bathes in that river. He drinks Mother Ganga. And he openly says, I feel so relieved now. And in the writing, Goswamiji says, here is the Lord of the universe who feels relieved worshipping Mother Ganga, drinking Mother Ganga, when all we need to do is remember Bhagwan Rama and we can feel the same relief. And that shows us that Bhagwan is not separate from creation. How lovingly Bhagwan looks after creation. When we remember to follow the same, we see the world isn't such a bad place. If I'm a bad person, I think the world's a bad place. But if I'm a good person, then I think the world is a good place. After that reaching of Mother Ganga was there, and they had a simple meal, and they went to sleep. And Sri Lakshmana remembered the advice that his mother gave him, that anger and jealousy, they can come and sleep in dream too. So he said, I can't sleep. Then he sat by them in Vajrasana, like a lightning bolt. Because they're in the forest. There's wild animals there. People who know that this is the future king, they may try to kidnap him. So him and Nishada Raja, they all stayed there on guard. And they set up posts all around where Bhagwan Rama and Mother Sita were sleeping to ensure their safety. As Bhagwan Rama and Mother Sita fell asleep, then Guha was looking at Bhagwan Rama. Nishada Raja's name is Guha, right? Or am I mixing that up? It's Guha, correct? I believe it's Guha. So Guha's looking at them sleeping on this floor, and he starts to speak negatively about Mother Keikei, saying, why did she do this to these lovely people, Bhagwan Rama and Mother Sita? And as he's saying this, Sri Lakshmana starts to think about what Guha is saying about this negativity. And then Guha asks Sri Lakshmana, who is this Rama? See, he's thinking too. He knows that this cannot be an ordinary future king, because up until now, Guha's only seen Bhagwan Rama totally balanced. That he's in the kingdom and now he's in the forest, but undisturbed. So he asks him, who is he? This one who is ever balanced. Non-exam time he's balanced, during exam time he's balanced, post-exam time he's balanced. Who is he? And Sri Lakshmana, in his thinking mode, he starts to answer Guha's questions. And Guha, he has questions about, why did this happen? Tell me about viraga. What is independence? Tell me about, what is the cause of sorrow? And so many questions he asks here. I'll tell you some of the Vedanta behind all of this, okay? This Lakshmana Gita. Who is Bhagwan Rama? Sri Lakshmana begins at a karma perspective. He tells Guha that from a karma perspective, we mustn't blame our circumstances on whatever comes to us, good or bad. See, when negativity comes in our lives, we blame. My parents treated me like this. My siblings were like this. We were poor like this. The weather is like this. And whatever we blame, we tend to become bitter in that same direction, isn't it? If we blame the president, then you become bitter towards the president, correct? Blame and bitterness come together. So here, Sri Lakshmana is telling Guha, don't blame Mother Kaikeyi. Don't blame, period. He's telling all of us. Instead, try to develop from that karma. Whatever's coming at you in your circumstance, develop from that. When positive people come in your life, learn from them. When negative people come in your life, learn from them. We treat karma as an enemy almost. Like, why me? When Guha is saying, or Sri Lakshmana is saying, is treat karma as your friend. Karma is trying to teach you, not to hurt you. So who is Bhagwan Rama? Why is he ever balanced? Because from a karma perspective, he doesn't blame. He hasn't become bitter. He's trying to develop from what he's experiencing. Then Sri Lakshmana goes deeper into a jnana perspective. And he uses the terminology yoga and viyoga. Why is Bhagwan Rama ever balanced? Because he's not ever engaged in yoga, craving, viyoga, separating. I want this, I don't like this. He's not engaged in this yoga, viyoga. He is samatva. Bhagwan Rama knows you cannot get the absolute from the relative. Now, if you think of everything in our lives, it's all relative, no? Pleasure, relative or absolute? Relative. This whole week we've been going to a lot of wedding festivities. So Wednesday there was paneer, Thursday there was paneer, Friday there was paneer, Saturday there was paneer, correct? And on Friday you think, yes, tomorrow I'm going to get more paneer. And the first plate, yes, but then after that, how much paneer can you eat, correct? See, you can't get the absolute from the relative. What about possession? Can you get absolute joy from relative possessions? I was just sharing with a young boy here, if I give him this phone, he may give it back to me. This is only an iPhone 4, right? Why am I burdening him with an iPhone 4? He wants a better one. What about position? Can you get absolute joy from position? Positions keep on changing. Constant change in positioning. You see how Bhagwan Rama does not try to get the absolute from the relative. This is for us too. We want swatantra, independence. It cannot come from the dependent. That's why when Bhagwan Rama is told he will be the king, he smiles. When he told he has to go to the forest, smiles. Yoga here, Viyoga here. After that, it will be Viyoga from the forest, yoga back to the kingdom. There's a famous incident that initiated Ashtavakra Gita. I'll tell you about this. You all know who Raja Janaka is. Who's Raja Janaka? Mother Sita's father. Jnani. He is one who's tuned into actually jnana, karma, and bhakti. One day, he dreams that he is the poorest of the poor. This is Raja Janaka, okay? He's the richest of the rich, outwardly and inwardly. And he has a dream that he's become the poorest of the poor outwardly. And he's scrounging around for food. He's so hungry. And he happens to find a piece of bread. And he's eating this bread. And this dog comes and snatches this from him and runs away with this bread. And he's chasing after this dog, struggling, crying because he needs this food. And then he wakes up. And that day, the great Ashtavakra Rishi happened to come to his sabha, where there was satsang happening. And Raja Janaka was very inquiry-oriented that day, and he asked Ashtavakra Rishi, am I a king or am I a beggar? I have a doubt that I'm even a king, because this dream he was a beggar, now he's a king. I have a doubt that I'm even a king. And you know what Ashtavakra Rishi says? You are neither. You are not a beggar and you're also not a king. You are nothing to do with relativity. The beggar is relative, the king is relative. You are the absolute. You are neither. See, if we're not a beggar and we're not a king, if we're not a beggar, we don't have to worry about food. If we're not a king, we don't have to worry about the citizens. So why worry? We are absolute. We are independent joy. We are existence. We are awareness. Sri Lakshmana continues and says, the wise are awake to their potential, and the unwise are asleep to their potential. Have you all studied a similar message in a different scripture? Is this not from the Sthita Prajna Lakshanas from chapter 2 of Srimad Bhagavad Gita? A wise person is asleep to this pursuit of pleasure, possession, position. And everyone else is awake to that. And the wise person is awake to peace, and everyone else is asleep. See, Bhagavan Rama, when everyone else was sleeping, he was not there. I want to bring that word to your attention again. Swatantra. A wise person is swatantra. They are independent. Now, if you think of the most independent entities in life, there's only three. Existence, awareness, joy. All else depend on existence. Existence depends on none. Awareness and joy are the same. Satchidananda. Sri Lakshmana tells Guha who his Parama Sakhi is, who your greatest friend is. Who is your best friend? Who's your best friend? I think you can highlight that on Facebook, who your best friend is. Wife. Your wife. What if you're not married? Then who's your best friend? What Sri Lakshmana says here, he says, Parama Sakha is having your thoughts, words, and actions dedicated to Bhagavan Rama. So who's your best friend? You. You make the right choices, you are your best friend. You make the wrong choices, you are your worst enemy. It's magically the same as Bhagavad Gita, no? That is who your Paramasakha is. And I love how inward looking this scripture is. If you study this from a secular environment, your best friend is who's known you the longest, correct? Or your best friend is your spouse. Now, those are fine ideas, but when we die, is our best friend coming with us? Is our spouse coming with us? But our choices are coming with us, no? It'll go on and on and on. So we're all in tune with each other. Who's sleeping right now? Other than you, who's sleeping?
Rama.
Bhagwan Rama, Mother Sita. And instead of them sleeping, they engage in satsang. And Guha asks Sri Lakshmana, why is this happening? Who is this Bhagwan Rama? Sri Lakshmana starts to explain. At a karma level, instead of blaming, develop. All that happens is for our betterment. From a jnana level, Bhagwan Rama is absolute. He's not affected by yoga viyoga. For us to not try to find the absolute from the relative. To wake up. Now from a bhakti perspective, this is where Sri Lakshmana ends. From a bhakti perspective, he says, Bhagwan Rama is the karana. In other words, he's an instrument in this leela. Isn't he? Jaya and Vijaya have come down. Bhagwan Vishnu has to come too. The Devatas want him to leave Ayodhya. Isn't he just an instrument? Like this laptop, sometimes I use this laptop, sometimes you use this laptop. It's an instrument. And for us to do the same is to realize that we are simply a karana. We are not the karta. As long as you're the doer, a lot of worry that comes with it. But if you realize you're a karana, sometimes Bhagwan wants you to be like this, sometimes Bhagwan wants you to be like that, no worries. See, someone who knows they're a karna, they know that they're playing a specific role in the director's play. But you know you're acting. And as long as you know you're acting, you know that this is all relative, but you are different. But if you forget that you're acting, whatever limitations come with your role, you start to become that role then, no? Body, mind. And Sri Lakshmana's final message to Guha is, Parihari Moha. Now that you know karma, jnana, bhakti, let go of your confusion. Let go of your negativity towards Mother Kaikeyi. He doesn't even know her and he's being negative towards her. Isn't that what we do? Someone had asked me yesterday about such and such person at the reception. And I said, I don't know this person, so I have nothing to say. And really, at a deep level, we don't know anyone so well. What their day was like, what their childhood was like, what their vasanas are like. So why do we talk unnecessarily? Swami Tej Ramayana calls it vyartha. There's no meaning to it. Sri Lakshmana Gita. And before I read one more chopai, what happens after this is, so Sumantra has to leave to go back to the kingdom. And Bhagwan Rama says some things, and then Sri Lakshmana says, go tell our father all of these negative things. And then if you pay attention to this, here Sri Lakshmana is giving advice about how he should be kind to his family, but now he's not following the same. It's hard to follow this advice, isn't it? Even Sri Lakshmana finds this to be difficult. This is our last chopai that we will study. I'm on the 100th chopai of Ayodhya Kanda. You know we're in Ayodhya Kanda, correct? Okay, we're in the 100th chopai. I am reading the second verse, the second line on page 312. And this is what is said. Charana Kamala Raja Kahu Sabu Kahai Manusha Karani Muri Kachu Ahai. Bhagavan Rama reaches the Ganga, and this is a river. He needs to cross over the Ganga, and to do that he needs a boat. So he sees a nearby fisher person and calls him to bring his boat. And he brings his boat, but this fisher person doesn't allow him to board this boat. And I'm a little bit confused here because Guha is the Nishada Raja. I don't believe this boat person has a name. I think he's a Namika. He's nameless. I'm going to do some research into this. And this boat person says, you cannot step in my boat. And Bhagavan Rama is surprised by this. What do you mean I can't? You're a fisher, you're a ferry person, so why can't I be in your boat? And he says, I've heard about what the dust of your feet can do, leave alone what your feet can do. I heard the dust of your feet can turn stones into humans. What are you going to do to my boat? I need this boat for my profession. So this is what this ferry person says. So leading up to this, after Sri Lakshmana Gita is completed, the next morning they wake up and Bhagavan Rama, he puts on his clothes made out of bark. See, they had never had time to change. I don't know if you know this, but when Mother Sita was given these clothes made out of bark, she had never worn anything that wasn't the purest cotton or the purest silk in her life. She just didn't know what to do. Bhagavan Rama took that bark clothing and wrapped it around on the sari she was already wearing. So they never had time to change. So Bhagavan Rama puts his clothes on, then Sri Lakshmana follows and Mother Sita follows. They tie up their hair, with the sap from the trees I had told you about. And Sumantra is seeing all of this. He starts to weep. His whole life he's treated Bhagavan Rama like his son, a royal son. To see him in that condition. It's like all of you when you take your kids to Bharat, and if some of your kids are not very heavy, then your family says, do you feed your kids? Are they impoverished? You should see what the comments that Sheila's family and my family say about us. What kind of wife do you have? She doesn't feed you. That's just jokingly, okay? We're both healthy. But for Sumantra to see Bhagavan Rama like that, he just starts weeping, inconsolably. And Bhagavan Rama tells him that you have to go and serve my father. Tell him we miss him. Tell him we're coming back soon. And as he says this, and he's finished, and Sri Lakshmana, he says the exact opposite. Tell our father we don't miss him. Tell him we're not coming back soon. And Bhagavan Rama gets very stern and says, be quiet, Sri Lakshmana. This is our father that you're referring to. And it's beautiful how natural their relationship is. And then Sumantra tells Bhagavan Rama that your father has asked me to bring Mother Sita home at least. And Mother Sita says, can a shadow live without the sun, without light? She's the shadow. Bhagavan Rama is literally the sun. So Sumantra understood that she's not coming either. And so he turns to leave. And as he's trying to drive this chariot away, the horses keep looking back at Bhagavan Rama, and they're neighing, they're crying. Seeing these animals cry, all of the villagers, they start crying too, thinking, such sadness these animals are experiencing. Imagine the sadness of Bhagavan Rama. Imagine the sadness of his parents. They couldn't feel otherwise either. And then Bhagavan Rama needs this boat, and the dialogue with the boatman begins. The Vedanta in this last scene is of dharma, because Bhagavan Rama still could have gone back with Sumantra. But the word dharma comes from dharanat. Dharanat means to support, to integrate. And Bhagavan Rama is following that path, which is creating the maximum support. And if you think of this at a very logical level, Raja Dasharatha's first promise was to Kaikeyi. The second promise was for him to become the king, etc., for him to leave. But the first promise was to Mother Kaikeyi. So in promises, you have to abide by that first. It's like a first mortgage, right? If something goes wrong, who gets the collateral? It goes to the first mortgage. Then you have the second one and the third one. When those animals were leaving Bhagwan, for us, when we leave Bhagwan, when we live a life that is not dedicated to Bhagwan, naturally we are going to be sad. But understand, externally you may have to leave satsang, externally you may have to leave your family, externally you may have to leave this body, but internally you don't have to go anywhere. Internally, our head should never be lifted off of Bhagwan's feet. That's what this podium is about, this do in remembrance of me. That's what this course is about. That's what Chinmaya Mission is about. That's what Ramayana is about. That's what life is about. Oh.